Hello, my friend, and welcome to the, I don't know what, 248 and a half, I think is what we'll call this episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. And why do I not know the numbers? Well, I'm not crazy. I've been working with the team, the VA staffers. Oh, by the way, if you need a staffer, head on over to thesaleswhisperer.com/VA staffer. Get 4 hours for free to work with them. And if you retain them, you get $100 off. But anyway, been working with them. We've been building out a process for them to help me with producing both the Sales Podcast and the CRM Sushi Podcast, which is a new one where I am interviewing founders and executives of software companies. They're doing video demos where I ask them questions and help you decide if that platform is right for you. So check out crmsushi.com. I've got 3 episodes plus the inaugural introduction, so 4 technically. I'm going to have several this week as well, and then more coming up. But as I'm working with my team, helping me streamline this, we've been working ahead. Finally, I'm ahead of the curve. We've got artwork done. We've got the show notes done. We got the links created, the intros, the outros. And, you know, I was doing 2, even 3 episodes a week. And so we slowed it down to 1. And I've got some cool people that just today, actually. So I'm going to release this during the week of Monday, April 10th. And I got up 4 a.m. this morning, interviewed Kat Loterzo. And she just got some good information. So rather than wait and put her back at number 259, which is where she would have been scheduled, I'm just going to insert her between Peter Watts, who we just had out of Sweden, a good friend, and Carrie Morgan. So, you know, I think we'll call this 248 and a half. How's that? That way my team doesn't have to redo all the artwork and everything. And, you know, the main thing is to get you good information. I don't think too many people are too worried about the artwork and what the episode shows. But Kat, I've known for, golly, maybe a couple of years. We chat online a good bit. She is not everyone's cup of tea. Shall I say that? She is a bold, vivacious, kind of in your face, sort of, I don't even know if coach is the right word. She's a butt kicker. Okay. So this episode does have some language. So if you got little ones around, you may not want them listening while you listen. But you know, she throws around a little bit of language, not to, I don't know. She doesn't do it for shock value. It's just, you know, and I asked her about it. Where'd that come from? And she has an interesting story, a story that only a mother could tell, an event that she endured and lived through and came through, and it just brought out, you know, kind of this grab life by the throat and drop the F-bomb as you see fit. And, you know, and honestly, I was a little turned off in the beginning, but I still followed her because she speaks the truth, right? When she puts content out there, which is daily, sometimes multiple times a day, you can tell it's true. You can tell it's sincere. And it's just, it resonates, right? And again, it may not resonate with everybody, but we got into some deep stuff. And, you know, I gave her a shout out today on Facebook, and she agreed that, you know, I pushed her with some questions, and she appreciated it. So this isn't fluff. This isn't some surface level stuff. So, you know, again, rather than wait, you know, 2 months to get this out in the normal flow, we're going to squeeze this in between 248 and 249. How about them apples? I love her approach on how she launches. And again, it's not for everybody, but I do kind of love her style. I'm a little bit, I'd prefer to just produce and throw stuff out there and have my team clean it up. And my team pushes back. They want a little more organization. So we talked about that, how you can bring people on that can smother you. And, you know, it's your business. You need to create it in your own vision. So it was great speaking with her. It was worth getting up at 4 a.m., made sure I had my coffee on. I made sure I had my A game going because Kat does not bring it weak. So let's jump into the episode, shall we? Kat Loterzo, thank you for staying up late for me and agreeing to say no potty words during this entire 37-hour live stream because we're raising money to save kittens. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, well, I love kittens. So anything for kittens except for avoiding the F word. Anything but that. You can ask me anything at all, but anything but that.
Very nice. Well, it's great to catch up with you. Thanks for coming on the show. You are a how should we say this? I don't know, a powerhouse marketer. Is that a fair statement?
I'll definitely take that. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to have a chat and see where it ends up.
Oh, man. Like I say, we'll go down the rabbit hole.
That is definitely my favorite place to go.
So so for our listeners that may not know you, I don't know, maybe they've been living under a rock. I mean, you got started in fitness, right?
That's right. Fitness was my accidental career. I spent my childhood years being groomed to be a high-flying corporate kind of a girl. I was A+ student, and that was just how it was in my family. If you weren't top of the class, there was definitely something wrong. So for me, it was always about getting into law and studying law. And my whole family knew that. And so much so that when I was in my teens, we were actually living in Germany for my dad's work, and we moved back to Australia when I was 16 years old, purely so that I could complete high school in Australia in order to become a lawyer in Australia. And I was that really kind of good girl student. I always wanted to please my parents and my teachers. Well, what happened is I got into law school. I went to, I think, 2 classes or like 2.5 classes maybe in the first week. And basically the whole good girl facade just dropped in that week. In terms of, I realized that at college, nobody's watching you. There's 400 kids in the lecture theatre. Nobody knows whether you're attending or not. I wasn't getting immediate validation, and I'd had that my whole life, which was fortunate, I guess. I'd always been lifted up and praised by my parents and teachers, and so there's a lot of blessing in that. But one thing it had done was kept me kind of looking for that validation, I guess. And essentially in college, I wasn't getting it, and I straight away, like instantly, realized I just don't think I want to do this. I don't think I want to live this normal life. I don't have the motivation to go. And I was too scared to tell my parents. So I continued to go to college, but I didn't go to classes. I started giving people facials in the health food store on the campus. I charged $50 for them. I was completely unqualified to do that, but I put a little sign out that said stress relief. And I did that for a while. And then I took off to Europe, as you do when you're 18 and you don't know what to do. I gained some weight in Europe. I came back. I started going to the gym obsessively, so much so that one of the trainers there remarked, well, you're here all the time. You should work here. And I said, okay. And then 13 years later, I was still personal training people and making multiple 6 figures online in fitness, and transitioned from there into the business that I now have. That is the very short version of that story.
That is very short. So let's talk about that instant validation. I mean, I think we still live in a world of instant gratification. We still live in a world of instant validation. People, I see it all the time. They're like, well, yeah, I did one webinar, it didn't go well, so I'm just quitting that. You know, it's like, have we forgotten how to grind things out until we succeed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we absolutely have. I think, it's an interesting question, because I think there's such a fine line between walking away from something because it's not in alignment and you know in your heart that it's not what you want your life or your business to be about, or even that webinar to be about, versus walking away from something because we're not willing to put in the work. And in my earlier years, like my early initial years as an adult, I felt so irresponsible. I walked away from 4 college degrees in the end. I never ended up completing one. I came 3 subjects shy. I just kept changing. And I walked away from every single job that I had. I would literally go on my lunch break and just go, oh my God, I can't go back. And I'd leave. But meanwhile, the funny thing is I was so hard on myself about it at the time. I felt like I was ruining my life. Where is my life going? But what I wasn't giving myself credit to was I was continually hustling as an entrepreneur, basically. I was always selling something. I was always making a club or like doing different network marketing things, the kind of stuff everybody does, I guess, before they know what to do with their own stuff. But I was always creating my own stuff and selling that as well. and I was always coming up with new ideas to monetize or to create. And I always saw that as, well, that's just like my thing that I like to do, right? And I probably downplayed it, I guess. So I never gave it any credit as, well, this could be what my life is about. So instead I focused on the fact that I'm irresponsible, I don't follow through on things, I continually walk away from things. And now I look back and go, oh my God, I was following my heart and I didn't know it. And I'm so grateful that I continually was quote unquote irresponsible and walked away. Now in business, yeah, I see the flip side of that all the time. Like what you just said, I mean, it drives me insane because people will launch something or they'll put something out there and then they don't get the feedback or the validation they wanted and they throw the towel in. And I sort of feel like, and maybe this is a bit hypocritical of me considering the things I've walked away from, but I feel like, oh my God, are you fucking retarded, which is such a terrible thing to say, but that's like my gut reaction, to feel like, do you not understand what it actually takes and how much you've got to pick yourself up and keep going. But a big part of being successful as an entrepreneur or as an artist or as a creator of any kind is to know how to walk away from things and know how to differentiate between the things that should be walked away from versus the things that are actually our soul work to stick with.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of times, I always tell people, don't ask for an easy path. Right, ask for the skills, the drive, the fortitude to stay the course, right, until you get where you're going. But is it even possible to see how this tough time you may be going through is preparing you for something bigger? Is it possible to see that and stay the course and do it alone?
Well, I don't think that you can see where it's going. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? That you don't know your own path because you're the one who has to create it. So it's not possible to have any sort of obvious guarantee or certainty that it's all going to pay off. And that is a big part of it, though, because it's faith. And ultimately, faith is not something we can see, but it's also not something that we develop. Faith, and I think a lot of people don't understand this and need to understand that faith is something that you choose. You don't develop it. You don't have a lot of runs on the board and achieve a lot of stuff and then you say, oh, phew, now I feel safe, so I can have faith. Faith is about flying blind. It's about saying I trust in something bigger than myself. I trust in something that I can't see, and I'm going to step forward towards that essentially blindfolded because I have faith. Because I chose to have faith, not because faith was appointed to me, right? It's absolutely a choice. And so, I mean, I struggle with this a lot in terms of how to, I guess, teach people this or impart this to people because I kind of feel like I've always had that. I've always known that I was going to do something extraordinary, and I've just always flat out believed it. And I don't know if it's because I was told it like 14 times a week in church, because all I did was go to church growing up, and that's all I heard. You've got a purpose and you've got a destiny, and I believed it. I don't know if it was from that or then Tony Robbins' influence, or I was lucky to have parents and teachers that uplifted me so much. I had an amazing upbringing. But then on the other hand, I have friends who had a really atrocious, horrible, traumatic upbringing and who are also wildly successful because they also had faith that they could create something different. But what I have seen for sure is that those who make it and play at a high level, regardless of the industry, they've found a point or they've found a way at some point to trust in something bigger than themselves and to simply continually take action without any promise. And the promise is essentially the one that you create inside of yourself, right? That I'm just going to keep going. I remember when I started my business online in 2007, I don't know why I said this, but I'm so grateful I had this, I guess, wisdom. I don't know where it came from, but I remember saying to myself, well, no matter what with this blog thing, I'm just going to keep going because I figure that if I just refuse to quit and I just keep going and I consistently post this blog that I've decided to do, I just think it's going to get somewhere if I refuse to give up. And that's exactly what I did. In 10 years online, I've literally never, ever missed a blog that I planned to write. And my initial commitment to myself was 2 a week, and then I upped it to 3 a week, and now it's like 3,000 pieces of content a week or whatever it is. But I've been consistent. I've never skipped out on any of it, not when I've traveled, not when I've been hospitalized for 20 weeks during pregnancy once, not when I've had babies. I just kept going. I was just like freaking relentless with posting my content because I had that faith, because I chose the faith.
Right. Well, of course it's easy to blog when you're on bed rest, just laying around. Come on.
Well, it's better than watching Dr. Phil in the hospital room, that's for sure. I was doing sales calls from that hospital bed. I actually made more money. I was like, this is great. Nobody can bother me. I was making more money in hospital than at home.
So, Kat, you've had this 37-year pregnancy. Will you ever leave the hospital? No, I don't think so. I think it's pretty good here.
Honestly. Honestly, it's always about making the most out of each situation, right? So
I see your blog. I see you've got 2 YouTube channels. When I looked you up on Amazon, there were 81 pieces of content that links that were found for your name. You do a lot on Facebook. How do you decide where to post, where to go live? You know, is it a blog? Is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? I mean, I see you do a lot on Facebook. You know, like if our listeners are trying to grow, how do they know where to make their home base?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have a very neat answer for you on that. The way that I decide is honestly based on what I feel like doing. I largely post live content or new content on Facebook because I am very active on Facebook personally, and it's a platform that I enjoy using. I mean, it's also obviously a platform that everybody kind of uses or seems to use, so it's a relevant one. Aside from that, I really just pinpointed what I would call the obvious current platforms, which is Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Those are the ones that I target. I don't personally log in and put content on all those platforms anymore. I have a team. I have 10 people on my employee payroll now. But I did used to do it all myself. I built it all up by myself, and I was here, there, and everywhere like a jack-in-the-box, just popping up all over the internet. Now I'm fortunate that I have other people that can do that for me. So the only ones where I personally post live content are Facebook and Snapchat. And then with Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, my team literally log into my Facebook and my Snapchat, copy over my content, and repost it, or they might do an extract or something. So it's still all my content, but I'm not choosing to post it, what time to post it. I'm not worrying about it. And really the approach that I take, or that I get my team to take with all the social media platforms, it's honestly, there's no strategy to it. It's just a scattergun approach. It's just post content, post as much content as possible. The more content, the better, all the time. I really believe that there's no such thing as too much content. And I believe that with a little bit of ego, I suppose, in terms of I believe my content is high value, and so therefore I don't see any possible way that I can overdo it, because my philosophy about my own content is, well, if people don't like it, well, if they actually don't like my content, like they think something about me, like I curse too much or something, well, they can clearly fuck off, basically, very nicely, if they literally don't like me. But even if people think, oh my God, she posts too much content, I can't keep up with it, the people who still like me and resonate with my message are not going to be offended by that. They'll just skip over a bunch of it, and that's fine. I'd be concerned if somebody was keeping up with all my content. Somebody once said that she was, and I was like, well, are you doing anything else in your own life? Because that's a lot of content to keep up with. So the point of all that is I really don't have a strategy with social media. My strategy is go where I feel called to go, show up as frequently as I can, show up authentically with my content, and then repost it as much as possible all over the whole internet.
Right. Very cool. Now, so I think I know the answer based on what you just said, but I mean, is there a strategy around like build a public group and then drive to a private group, or do you just keep it your own personal profile, share your links to your programs, and run with it from there?
Yeah, with the group thing, no, I don't have a strategy around that either. I do have a private group on Facebook. I don't use it in a big way to drive anything to anything. The reason I actually started my private group was because I was already posting one roughly 2,000 word blog post a day on Facebook, but I'm actually writing about 3 or 4 long blogs like that, and I'm not posting them all, or I wasn't posting them all, and I wanted a place to post them all for people who were obsessive about my writing and wanted to read it all. So that's why I created it. Now I don't really use it for that. I just randomly put stuff in there, but I don't No, I don't have a strategy with anything like that at all. My philosophy is always, what do I feel like doing? Even stuff like doing a Facebook Live, I'll do most of them on my business page, I guess. But if I feel like doing it on my personal one, I'll do it there. I really just go with the flow that's inside of me, basically, and I trust in the bigger picture, which is that if I keep showing up consistently each day, it really doesn't matter whether I'm posting content on a business page or a Facebook group, or even, somewhat Facebook illegally on my personal page, but we all obviously do. Either way, I feel that if people are interested in what I have and then they see my offer, they're going to join the offer. It doesn't matter where I sort of engaged them in the first place.
Right. So will your team just copy what you put on your personal profile and make that a blog post?
Yes. So I post my daily blog directly onto my personal profile. The reason for that is not strategy. The reason is ego, because when I write something, it's a release from me. And basically the way I feel when I've just written a blog is that the entire world should stop right now and read it. So I have kind of like an urgent feeling inside of me that I have to post this blog straight away. That's the only reason I post it on my Facebook personal page, because I want people to read it right away and just bow down before it, basically. And then from there, that's really the only reason. And then from there, my team will grab it. They'll pop it onto the actual blog on the WordPress on my website, and then they'll share it from there onto my business page, and they'll share it into my free group as well. And then they might grab extracts from it, create a quote or a meme or something for Pinterest. They'll tweet it, they'll put it on LinkedIn, etc.
Right.
And they'll Snapchat it, like everything. It just goes through the whole sort of, all the key social media platforms.
Right. So today I read your what your muse was saying about getting fucked.
Yeah.
And you link to Kill Resistance Dead. Is that like an ongoing program, or is that a launch?
That's a current offer. It's a program that I'm launching right now, and it goes live. The day one of the program is on Thursday this week.
Oh, wow.
I launch a new online program nearly every week, maximum every 2 weeks. And the way that I sell is pretty much what you just outlined. I simply put a PS type call to action at the end of my daily blog. And then if you ever watch a live stream of mine, usually in the final minute or two, I'll do a similar sort of thing on a live stream. I'll do a call to action to my current offer. That's my sales process in a nutshell. And that's a multi-7-figure sales process. But I don't follow any of the internet marketing rules or laws. I tried to, and it just sucked the soul out of me. I tried to do it properly. I didn't care for that too much. So I went back to doing it my way. And my way is really just share my message a lot and do a call to action at the end and do an offer at the end. And that's how I sell everything. I write a blog or I do a live stream and I have a PS at the end, basically.
Right. So you launch something new every couple of weeks? But this is a 3-week program. So do you have multiple 3-week programs going on? I mean, how do you balance or juggle all that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a madness. It's a mad, chaotic mess behind the scenes in my business. I always have multiple programs going on at any given time. They're all different in format. It could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It could be a workshop. It could be a live event. It could be a membership program. It could be higher mentoring. It's whatever I feel like doing. But as soon as I close one launch out, like this launch will finish on Thursday, which is also day one of the program, I'll immediately start selling something else the very same day. And that's how I always do it. I'm always selling. I sell every single day. As soon as I close a launch, the new one begins immediately, literally later that afternoon. And what's funny is my team, I've trained most of my team into how online marketing works. They never knew about it before me. And I remember having to explain fairly recently to my team, for whatever reason, I had to explain to them, no, you guys think that what I do is normal. And I was like, no. You need to understand that the way most online entrepreneurs do it is they'll launch like twice a year or maybe 3 times a year. And they just do a big build up to that. And I think I had to explain it because we were all going to a conference together and I just needed them to know how the industry worked a bit more. And they just looked at me like, but why? Why are people not selling all the time? And I'm like, I don't know. Right? But it was so funny because they've been indoctrinated into my way of doing it and they really just think that that's normal. So my team will message me over the week and they'll be like, right, Kat, what's the new offer this week? And that's just how it is.
So, all right. So this program you have right now, Kill Resistance Debt, is that, I mean, you have a timeline on that. It's 3 weeks, but is that 3 weeks with you? Or have you created like a drip sequence that just time releases info to them?
No, it's live. It'll be a live program. It's a live daily program with me in a Facebook group. And for that particular program, there'll be an audio that they receive each day, like an audio training, and it will have journaling prompts and practical exercises to go with it. And then that will get emailed out to them as well as put in the Facebook group each day. And additionally, I'll be in the group. And we'll probably do like some live streams and that sort of thing as well for Q&A.
Very cool. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around that because I think I'm a lot more like you than I thought.
Right.
I hate all the structured stuff. I haven't had big launches, and my creativity kicks in, and my team's like, "Where are you today?" I'm like, "Just keep up." You know, because that's
exactly.
I hired like an operations officer years ago, and I let her take control, right?
Yeah.
And it removed my personality, and it was just too much structure. And it's like, I understand the need for structure, but you know what? I understand the need for creativity, which you don't. You know, my ops manager, and we had to part ways. I mean, it's like I can't be that confined and that structured. It's not me.
Absolutely. And see what you just said, that's what I'm passionate about, is empowering entrepreneurs to know that that's not a weakness to try and like sort out or get yourself organized. So many like high level creators and those of us who are true, really probably we can actually classify ourselves as artists and creators before entrepreneurs, really, if we're honest about it. We often think we need to get more organized and be more professional or grown up or something, when actually the opposite is true. I feel the solution is to give in to the chaos and the creativity and the madness and be unapologetic about it. And I'm unapologetic about it with my team as well. And I've had experiences like that where I hired so-called high-level strategist type people to help me to be, I say it now with a joke, I say I hired people to help me not be me. But at the time, I thought I'm hiring somebody to fill in the gaps of what's missing from me and to help me to be more structured and organized. Now I look back and go, oh my God, I hired somebody to show me how to not be me. And now I'm completely of the mindset of I'll do whatever the fuck I want every day. I will go with the flow. If I feel like launching 14 things today and then changing half of them after you guys, meaning my team, just put it all together behind the scenes, then I'll do that. And they know that. And I'm very, very upfront about what it's like working with me. When I do my hiring process, I basically paint a picture of an absolute madhouse and then say, now multiply that times 100. And I really make it clear that you're expected, like I'll create like a mad professor doing whatever I want, and it will be an absolute wake of chaos behind me. And my team, their job is to clean it up and run behind me as fast as they can. Right. So I really make it clear that this is how it is in my company. And anytime it's like, sometimes even my team try and, we need to just be a bit more structured with this or that. And I'm like, no, the only reason any of us are here, the only reason you're here, the only reason I'm here, the only reason my clients are here, and the only reason this business makes the money it does is because I get to do what I want, because I'm the creator. So no, I'm not going to capitulate to that. So I'm quite hard about it, but at the same time, I'm very, like, the flip side of that with my team is I'm totally fine when mistakes happen and when madness happens and all the balls come falling down all at once, because they inevitably do when you're doing so many things all the time. And my philosophy is always, just sort it out, right? So they know, they feel safe because they know that I want everything just done at once, right now, and I want it how I want it, and I don't care how impossible it is, just do it. But I also know that if they turn around and go, oh my God, something happened or something went wrong or we didn't get it done because you sent us 49,000 emails by 11 a.m., then I'll be fine with it. I'll be like, okay, fine, do it, however you want, but just don't impact on my creativity.
Is your team, are they virtual? Are they local?
A bit of both. So I have two full-time assistants who are here on the coast with me, and then I also have a girl who is my nanny / housekeeper / personal assistant / does some of my media and social media as well. So that's a bit of a mixed role. So she's here on the coast. My videographer's here on the coast as well. And then I have the rest of them are all around the country. They're all in Australia, which is not deliberate, actually. It's just the way it worked out.
Right. Okay. But I mean, you're not hiring like cheap VAs.
No,
Okay.
no. I am the opposite of that. I pay well above what's typically paid in our industry. I have a really good HR thing in place for my employees, so they get to have like self-care days, and they have an allowance for personal development, and I'm very relaxed and flexible with my team, and I do a lot of stuff for them because it feels right. I just believe look after the people who are looking after you. Right. I get really kind of funny about it with entrepreneur friends who are trying to get the cheapest support possible. I'm like, why would you do that?
Right.
How is that a good thing? I don't understand that mentality.
Yep. Are you advertising much? I don't think I see you with a lot of ads. It seems quite organic.
We do have consistent Facebook ads up at the moment now, and we'll continue to do so. But I don't spend much on it. I only spend about $2,000 a month on it, which is pretty low considering my company revenue. I've built my business largely without Facebook ads. I've traditionally not used them. I built my business before Facebook ads were even a thing with my first business, my fitness business, and I really just took that philosophy across into what I do now. And my approach is more, I would rather add one person who's just a diehard cult follower, basically, than 1,000 people who jumped on a free thing on Facebook. So I'm definitely pro Facebook ads, but I guess I've just never really had to rely on them. And so even though I'm interested in them and I like seeing what can be done with them, and I'm curious about them and I'm happy to spend a little money on it, I kind of feel like, I'm doing okay over here, just posting my blogs and doing my live stream, and people seem to organically find me. They'll tag in their friends, or people will find me through my Amazon books, or they'll find me through a live stream that popped onto their feed. And what I noticed is that when somebody finds me and they resonate with me, they tend to spend money almost immediately. There's such a resonance there that people basically just feel like, oh my God, you're exactly like me, and how can you help me? And they'll start throwing money at me, basically.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that because you've got we're going to link to your free gift. So you got katloterzo.com/free gift, which is very kind and gracious of you. But it sounds like you're not overly concerned about building a big list versus building cult followers, right? People that are just into you and then they'll find you. Is that a safe assessment?
Yeah, look, I want like 1 million people on my list eventually, and more, right? I want millions of followers for sure, and I fully see that will happen. But my number one priority is the cult following, absolutely. And I think that's ultimately where the big following will come from. Mm-hmm. I don't really see, I see myself having my work read and watched by millions of people all around the world. That's my big vision. In fact, my big vision is a lot bigger than that, but I don't really see that coming because I was strategic with Facebook ads. I think that there'll be a tipping point at some point, and things will explode, and I think that will come about because I was always true to myself. Well, I deviated from that for a while and did the internet marketing thing, and now I'm always true to myself. And so those who follow me follow with essentially religious fervour. And at some point that will tip. The right person will find me, or I'll get, even at the moment I've got a TV show in the works in the States, and something like that will happen. That's what I think, and I'll end up with millions of followers. I don't think that will happen because I gradually build a list via Facebook ads. Right.
Cool. So talk to me about the F word. You are pretty fluent and quite effervescent with that word. Did you grow up that way? Is that an Australian thing?
No.
Is that a calculated thing? Do you say it on purpose just to shock people out of their sleepy haze?
None of the above. None of the above is true. No, I did not grow up that way. I grew up in a very Christian household. My family's very Christian. My grandfather was a preacher. My uncle was a preacher. I literally went to church multiple times per week. And that was my upbringing. Definitely not allowed. I wasn't even allowed to say damn. My mum still doesn't like when I say damn. she doesn't like any of my cursing. She sent me emails about it sometimes, but she's come to terms with it now. No, and it's not it's not something I try and do for shock. I guess it's a bit of an Aussie thing, but no, that's not the reason either. I didn't used to. If you can go back and read all my blogs, they're all there back to 2007. You'll still see me saying life is now press play, and you'll still see a lot of similar conversations, but it's a lot tamer. And what happened was I went through this transition period in 2012, 2013, where I was already making nearly $1 million a year online in my fitness business, which I'd built organically in the same way that I now just spoke about that I do my business now, and that I just figured that out myself. And then I decided to become a proper internet marketer, and I invested a fuckload of money working with the top people in the world and learned how to not be myself. I learned a lot of really good stuff on sales and marketing, but it was all against my intuition. That kind of broke my soul a little bit. At the same time, I was pregnant with my second child, and I was hospitalized for 20 weeks and told I was going to die during childbirth if I managed to make it to that point. And that all obviously worked out fine, and the baby's fine as well. He's now 3.5. But at the time, it was this incredibly stressful year, a lot of scary stuff, and this really stressful year in business, and it kind of all compounded. And what happened was my son was born, none of the scary things came to fruition, and as soon as he was born and that massive weight lifted of what would happen, I just had this real epiphany around my business where I thought I was going to die. I was told I was going to die. I was told if I don't die, I will definitely have to have a hysterectomy and bladder removal. None of that eventuated. I believe I had a miracle occur. And because of the weight of that being lifted, I just had this moment of realization, like, what am I doing? Just trying to make money and trying to follow all these rules. And this is not what it was meant to be about. And I was meant to talk about purpose and passion and all the things I talk about now. And I guess I got a bit angry. I got aggressive and angry in my mind, kind of like fuck the world, and I was annoyed at myself. And I just remember this real rush of emotion and aggression, and I call it my fuck this shit moment, where I was pacing around with a newborn baby in the stroller, and just stopped in the middle of the pavement. And I remember basically shouting out aloud, well, fuck this shit, I'm just going to do what I want now. And that's when I started writing the sort of stuff I write now. And sometimes I feel like that was nearly 5 years ago now, or 4 years ago now. But I feel like all the aggression and the ranting that I have now and all the cursing, that it kind of still comes from that one moment where I just had to summon this kind of aggression from inside of me in order to feel brave enough to break all the rules. And maybe now it's just a habit, and maybe I'm being a bit overly dramatic with that story. But it was a bit funny because I was never talking like that before. It just kind of started coming out of me. And now I'm definitely not trying to use the F word all the time on purpose. And sometimes I try and tone it down, and then I'm like, but it feels authentic. I shouldn't tone it down. That would be going against my own message. And sometimes there's really no other word to use when you're talking about something that you feel so passionately about.
Right. Yeah, and it's a good example, what I call, choose who to lose, right? I mean, that's right. You, and if people don't like it, they can unsubscribe or not follow.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's something I teach as well. Just be yourself, however it comes out, the good, the bad, the mad, the all of it, and let people, select themselves in or out.
So every few weeks you're launching something new. Do you have any core programs like an evergreen or like a higher level mastermind people join? How do you balance between always launching versus maintaining something more stable, if you will?
Yeah, I have a monthly membership program called the High Vibe Mastermind, which is $99 a month, and that's in my funnel, and there's a $14 14-day trial for new subscribers. That's pretty new, though. I only launched it in February, I believe. We have 303 members now, and I'm aiming to get to 1,000 within the next 60 days or so, which we're on track for. So that's recurring, but it is quite new. And then as for higher end stuff, only about 15% of my monthly revenue comes from higher end stuff. And I do have some clients who are, ongoing monthly clients who pay a monthly fee for unlimited access to me, just a few. That's not something I even sell or offer, but if somebody approaches me, that's my offer basically. But usually with higher end stuff, I'm either not offering it at all, or from time to time I'll offer a 6-week one-on-one intensive, which I just closed out last week. Actually, I just launched that last week and then closed the doors earlier this week. And so that's 6 weeks working one-on-one with me. And I do a structured program for my one-on-one clients as well as doing the one-on-one with them. But the high-end stuff, yeah, it's not a big part of my revenue. It's not a big part of my time. I find it, I think a lot of people think high-end is really hard to sell and you have to do strategy sessions, but I find the opposite to be true because of how much content I put out and the value of my low-end offers, that whenever I do post on Facebook or something and say, hey, I'm taking on clients, that it's pretty easy to sign up whoever I want to from that.
So it seems like following your no strategy approach, did it just feel better or more normal just to keep things affordable for people? And then basically if somebody asks for more access, you'll give it at a higher price, but otherwise you want to serve more people by keeping courses more affordable?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I don't really resonate. Well, I don't resonate at all with the idea of having a just high-end business. I tried to do that for a while when I was in a particular mastermind some years back, where that was essentially what was being taught. And it's just not my calling. I've always had that calling to serve a huge community. And I've always seen, big numbers of people going through my programs and my content. And I really enjoy creating low-end offers. I've launched over 200 different products and programs online. So I'm not launching every week because I think that that's a smart thing to do strategically. I think it's probably a crazy thing to do. I'm doing it because that's what I like doing.
Yeah, very cool. All right. So where should we send people? Speaking of focus and strategy and targeted growth, where do we send people to learn more about you?
Well, I'm pretty easy to find on social media because I'm there all the fucking time and you can't miss me. And nobody else in the world has my name either. So you can look up Kat Loterzo on any of the key social platforms. But if you really want to connect with me personally, then look me up on Facebook, either on my business page or my personal page. You're certainly welcome to connect there, or Snapchat. Those are places where I personally am active. And then the other thing that you can do is go to katloterzo.com/free gift and grab a free copy of one of my Amazon best-selling books if you would like to officially come into the madhouse, aka join my list.
All right, final question. You ready? Mm-hmm. Are you really ready?
Oh, we'll find out.
Are you sitting down?
I am sitting down.
See, this isn't fair. It's evening for you. So, you can be drinking while we're doing this. I have to drink coffee, or people would turn me into the police or something, But no, imagine our listeners are on a plane, they're jogging while they're listening to this, they're at the gym. They can't necessarily do something right this moment. But what should they do as a result of listening to this? What do you want them to? What action do you want them to take to kick things into the next gear for them?
That's a great question. I don't think I've heard anybody ask something like that before. I think the most important thing is ask yourself what it's really meant to be about. What is the message or work that I really want to share with the world? And I think if somebody would say, I don't really know, I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't know what I really want to do, I think that's bullshit. I think you do know. And you've always known, but maybe you tell yourself that's not really a thing, or who am I to say that or share that with the world? So a good way to check in with yourself on that, this is a question I ask my clients. It's my favorite first question to ask people is, if you had 2 minutes and you were standing on top of a balcony with a megaphone and you had the whole world listening beneath you, and you had 2 minutes to share your message with the world, where you basically say, don't you see, this is what it's meant to be about. What would you say in those 2 minutes? And that's your message, or that's your thing that you want to share. And then from there, start fucking sharing it.
I hate to say this, but that is easier said than done, although it's needed. Because I feel like in all of my training, I'm working with people to almost create that pressure, to create that oh shit moment, where the money's on the line. It's like, what would you really say right now? And so I'm big into role playing and getting into people's head, right? And almost like an actor. It's like, no, really, you're about to lose this sale. What do you do right now? I mean, how can we get? I see so many people that bounce back after they hit rock bottom, right? Because once you hit rock bottom, you can't go down anymore. So you can only go up. But how? So I lied. So I got another question. So how can we create that feeling of being at rock bottom without hitting rock bottom, so our clients can finally start moving up? You know what I mean?
I think that is easier said than done. I hit rock bottom before I really had my fuck this shit moment. Parts of the story I didn't say. I was over $100,000 in debt. I had the bankruptcy papers there, like all really cliche stuff, but that all happened and it was all part of it. I think you're right. Like, people shouldn't need to have to hit rock bottom, but oftentimes they do. And I guess if you're not going to hit rock bottom, then what you do need is you need to be really tapped into your why. You really need to know why it fucking matters. It's not enough to say, I believe that I'm supposed to do this, or I just want it, or it's, or it's cool or something. You're not going to do it unless you're really connected to the reason why. And when I was personal training people, I was a personal trainer for 13 years, and the first series of questions I would always ask was, well, firstly, what do you want? And then they'd say, I want to get ripped, or I want to get toned and lose weight, or whatever. I want to lose weight and get toned. And then I would say, well, why is that important to you? And people would say, oh, I just want to feel better. And then I'd say, well, what does that mean? What do you mean by feel better? Okay, well, I want to feel more confident when I go on a date or when I'm on the beach. And I would say again, well, why is that important to you? And I would just keep going back and forth with these two questions. Why is that important to you? And then what do you mean by that? And without fail, as long as I didn't back down, and sometimes it would take 20 or 30 minutes and then end up in tears, but I'd get to a point where the real reason would come out, and that's usually when the person would cry, or you get like a goosebump moment, or they'd basically go, why are you asking me all this stuff? I thought we were going to work out. But that's when you get to the real core of the motivation. And I would not get out of the chair until I got that motivation from people, because then I knew I would sell them whatever I wanted to sell them, firstly. But secondly, that person actually is connected to why they really want it. Nobody wants to fucking lose weight and tone up. Nobody wants to make money either. Those are such surface goals. So for entrepreneurs, if you don't want to hit rock bottom and have that give you a big fucking why, then you need to just take the time to really get to the core of what it is that you actually want. Why is it something that you have to have badly enough to where you feel like you're going to cry at the idea of not having it?
Yep. That's so good. 'Cause, I cover that, in just good old sales training. It's like you gotta go 4 or 5 levels deep before you really know.
Right. Well, I learned that from sales training. I mean, I did a ton of sales training growing up since a pretty young age, and I think I don't remember where I learned that, but it was definitely some sort of sales training.
Yep. Yeah, because people, they think it's all obvious, right? Well, I need to get more sales. Why?
Right.
And when I say that, like, my students will be, why are you asking them why they want more sales? Like, because I want to know why they want more sales. Well, doesn't everybody want more sales? Not necessarily.
Right, exactly.
Some people are coasting. They're comfortable. They're happy. Some are afraid of more sales. Mm-hmm. So it's being calm in that moment, right? To stand your ground. You always say our job as salespeople is hurt and rescue, right? We got to bring that pain to the surface, and then we've got to throw them a lifeline to get them away from that pain. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I agree. And it is kind of cliche sales stuff, but it's accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I do not speak in cliches, okay? Only the truth.
Well, cliches are cliches because they are true. That's
right.
The thing. Everybody makes fun of them, but they're there for a reason.
That's right. All right. And you were here for a reason, too, and I appreciate it. You're coming to SoCal in a couple of weeks, right?
That's right. This Sunday, actually. This next Sunday.
Oh, Easter. All right.
Yep.
How long are you in town?
I'll be in LA for just 3 days, and then I'm going to go to Dallas for a week, and then I'll come back to California. I'll be in LA again, and I'll head over to San Diego, back to LA. Yeah, that's all in a 2-week period.
Oh, very cool. Well, let me know when you're in San Diego. I'll come see you.
Oh, yeah, cool. All right, I will.
Okay, very nice. All right, Kat Loterzo, all the way from Australia. Thanks for joining us on the Sales Podcast. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, Wes.
All right, have a good night. So what do you think about that, huh? I told you it was good stuff. Told you it was worth speeding up and inserting her in the flow here. She's just, she keeps it real, right? She's honest, and I love her story. I love how everything she gets into, she gets after. Building up the business from a fitness standpoint, building it in a coaching and mentoring and training standpoint. She's just, she's someone you need to keep your eye on. Okay. Even though, again, a little potty mouth here and there, but hey, I'd rather an honest, foul mouth individual than a dishonest individual that tries to appear to be a saint, someone that they're not. Because, ain't none of us saints. But even the saints have a past, right? So, hey, thanks for listening. Be sure to check out the show notes, Kat Loterzo. I'll link to it as well. I've got a lot of notes I was able to take as we were talking, put them there in that episode, link to all of her courses. And by the time you listen to this, she may have launched 3 more courses. Who knows? So be sure to follow her on Facebook. You can find her online everywhere, but Facebook is where she's really prevalent. It's where she starts everything. So you're going to get it raw. You're going to get it real. You're going to get it first there on Facebook. One thing you can also get for real is for real sales training. And while Kat has some great programs, she does those short-term launches like the one she's working on now, the Kill the Resistance. It's a 3-week course. My Make Every Sale course is a lifetime access. It's at makeeverysale.com. I don't know how else to do it. That's the flow that I like. That's the style that I like. I'm working on some new programs as well, working on a copywriting course, working on some workshops. But the Make Every Sale course is really the foundation. If you can't sell, you really can't do anything. Everything in marketing has its basis in sales. You're selling to get someone's attention. You're selling to get them to visit your website, to read your lead magnet, to opt in for it, to confirm their opt-in request, to open that first email, to read it, to take action, to stay involved, to not unsubscribe. All of that is a sale. That's where the name Make Every Sale comes from. The goal is to make every sales opportunity you get, but it's also to understand that in every sale, there's a bunch of little sales that have to be made, and we leave no stone unturned. And again, like I said, you get lifetime access to the recordings, the content, over 41 videos, live sales calls, templates, boilerplate contracts. You get it all. MakeEverySale.com. Come hang out with us, would you? You'll be glad you did. And please, I've been getting some more comments and 5-star reviews on iTunes. Thank you very much. But only like 1 or 2 here and there. Please bring it on. That really does help the show bubble up. And things really have taken off the last, 4 or 5 months, 6 months, maybe November time frame of 2016. Things have been really ticking up. So thank you for that. It's because of your reviews, because you're sharing it, you're subscribing. That adds to the downloads, and it just helps us bubble up so I can serve more people. So, again, leave some comments, leave some reviews, share this, and always remember to sell different.